Not everyone fails when they touch the ball. Sometimes they fail before that. Long before the obvious mistake, long before the bad pass, long before the missed penalty, long before the play that everyone points to afterward. Because something else breaks first. It is not technique. It is not fitness. It is not tactics. It is confidence. And that is what makes pressure so dangerous. Because when someone stops trusting themselves, it does not always show up in one dramatic moment. It shows up in small details, in the way they look, in the way they hesitate, in the way they slow down, in the way they no longer act with the same freedom.
Don't let the pressure get to you.
In a tournament like the World
Breathe.
Cup, where one
We
moment
trust
can
you.
change everything, that signal becomes even more visible.
Concéntrate.
Not because the
Ese
error is
fallo fue
bigger,
inaceptable.
but because the fear
Espabila o
of making
saldrás.
it weighs more. In this video, we are going to look at the sign that usually appears before someone fails under pressure, why that sign is so destructive, and how you can notice it before anything big even happens. The clearest sign before someone fails under pressure is not the mistake, it is rigidity. When someone no longer trusts themselves, they become less free, more stiff inside, more calculated, more focused on not making a mistake than on doing what they know how to do. And that changes everything. Because when you perform from confidence, you act. When you perform from fear, you watch yourself too much. You are no longer inside the play. You are inside your head. You begin to overmeasure, to self-correct too early, to hesitate 1 second too long, to think about the error before the action. And in high-pressure environments, that extra second matters. Not because the person has lost ability, but because their attention is no longer on executing well. It is on avoiding failure. And that difference looks small, but it completely changes someone's presence. What does that look like in real life? It shows up when someone stops playing
let
with
the pressure get to
continuity
you.
and starts playing with
Breathe.
caution.
We
They
trust
receive
you.
and hold too long. They scan too much. They
Concéntrate.
release too early.
Ese fallo
They
fue
avoid risk
inaceptable.
even when they should not.
Espabila o saldrás.
They choose the safe option even when it is not the best one. They look more concerned with not looking bad than with actually influencing the game. And this matters. It does not always look like open nervousness. Sometimes it just looks like hesitation. But those are not the same thing. Hesitation is often broken confidence. Because when someone still trusts their own reading, even if they make mistakes, they act with presence. When they no longer trust themselves, they start moving as if they need inner permission to do what used to come naturally. And in moments of maximum pressure, that gets punished fast. Not because the mind is weak, but because the body no longer executes the same way when conviction is fractured. That is why pressure does not break everyone in the same way. Some people become sharper, others become smaller. And many times the difference is not talent, it is the internal relationship to failure. Some people under pressure still feel they can respond. Others start feeling they cannot afford to fail. And that changes the whole game. Because when you feel you cannot afford to fail, you become more rigid, more tense, more predictable, less creative, less present. And that does not stay only in performance. It also shows up in energy.
Don't let the pressure get
It
to you.
shows up in the way someone
Breathe.
occupies space,
We trust
in
you.
how they ask for the ball, in how they direct, in how they offer
Concéntrate.
themselves, in
Ese
how they
fallo
carry
fue
their
inaceptable.
body. As if a
Espabila o
part of them has
saldrás.
already stepped back before the match forces them to. That is the sign, not the final mistake, the internal retreat that prepares it. And here comes something even harder. When someone starts losing confidence, it is not only something they feel inside, the group can often feel it too. Teammates stop giving them the ball the same way, the rhythm changes, the energy shifts, their presence loses weight. Because confidence is visible. It shows up in posture, in timing, in intention. in the way someone steps into a moment. And when that language changes, the environment reads it even before anyone says it out loud. That is why mental collapse under pressure does not always begin with the personal mistake. Sometimes it begins with an internal signal that then changes how everyone else reads you. The player hesitates. The group senses it. The pressure increases. And then the mistake no longer falls on a free mind. It falls on a mind that had already started giving up ground.
Most people think pressure breaks someone in the big moment, but many times it does not. Pressure first breaks that person's
let the pressure get to
relationship
you.
with their own confidence.
Breathe.
It makes them
We
think
trust
too
you.
much. It makes them doubt what used to be natural. It makes them see
Concéntrate.
the mistake before
Ese
they
fallo
even
fue
make the
inaceptable.
movement. And when
Espabila
that
o
happens,
saldrás.
the mind stops supporting performance. It starts interfering with it. That is the real problem. Not that someone feels pressure. Everyone does. The problem is when pressure no longer coexists with confidence, when it pushes confidence out. And then the person no longer performs to influence. They perform to survive. And performing to survive almost always makes you smaller than performing to respond.
So what is the sign that appears before someone fails under pressure? They stop being fully inside what they are doing and become too trapped inside themselves. They become rigid. They overcorrect. They shrink. They lose continuity. And they begin to move like someone who no longer fully trusts their own reading. That is the warning. Not the final mistake, the doubt that prepares it. And that matters far more than most people realize. Because once you understand this, you stop looking only at the failure, and you start noticing the exact moment someone began to get smaller inside. And many times, that is where they really started losing. If you want to keep learning how to
Don't let the
detect
pressure
these
get to
dynamics
you.
before it is too late,
Breathe. We
subscribe to
trust you.
Patterns of Power.
Concéntrate. Ese fallo fue inaceptable. Espabila o saldrás.